my name is Steven, and this is video number 14 in my new series called Introduction to CodeIgniter. Introduction to CodeIgniter. Yes, that's what this video series is. In this video, we'll be talking about helpers. We're going to auto-load a helper, and we're going to the HTML helper. I'll teach you guys about the HTML helper. It's pretty basic. It's not exactly useless, but it's actually kind of cool. So why don't we just get right into it. First thing we want to do is we want to auto-load it, because I'm going to use this in multiple views and I don't want to have to load it every time. So what I'll do is I'll go to config, auto-load. Actually, I'm going to clean this up a bit. Excuse me for my mess. Okay. Now ignore that. Okay. The HTML helper is loaded simply by HTML. That's all we need to put in there, so we'll save this. Next thing we want to do is we'll go into our content sections. No, first thing we'll do the header. And I'll show you why. So we'll go site_header. This doc type HTML. This is for HTML5, but CodeIgniter does have its own function for this. It's kind of cool, and I'll show you what it looks like. So instead of putting doc type HTML, we put open our PHP tags. Then we will go doc type. We'll actually echo this. And in here, we go HTML5. Save it up. And now if we go to, say, our About page, and this should be loading that header view, and into the page source, we can actually see that it's loading doc type HTML. So we're using CodeIgniter. It's echoing out the doc type for HTML5, if you didn't know what it was. And this actually works for HTML4 strict, HTML4 transitional, like XHTML 1.0 strict, and things like that. For more information, check out the user guide on CodeIgniter. Aside from that, there's actually a couple other things we can use the HTML helper for, and I'll show you what that is. If we go into the content about and content home pages, you can see that this is full of header, or it has some header 1 tags in it. Instead of header 1, we can actually do something different. I'll show you. Open up our PHP tags. And instead of having header or h1 tags, we can actually do this. I'll show you. Echo heading. About page. It takes 2 parameters. The first is or it can take 3, I think. Yeah. The first one is the actual text that goes inside the heading tag, so the content of it. The second is what type. Is it an H1, an H2, an H3? In this case, it's an H1, so all we do is put 1. And the second would be any external styling we had, or any external attributes. So like if we had an H1 with a class of something and a style of something, we could actually go like, name the class right here. And it would be like class is equal to big H1, or whatever you want to do there. But in this case, we don't have to worry about that. So we'll save this up, delete about page, and I'm actually just going to copy this onto the home page too, so we have consistency and stuff. Just call this home, save them both, and we'll check it out, see if it actually works. Sure enough, that function that we're using there is, if we check out the page source, come back here. That H1 tag is right here, and it's an H1, and the content is in there. So this function works exactly the same as typing an H1 tag. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, why wouldn't I just put an H1 tag? The plain reason for that is you can actually put variables in here. If you were to say call this title. Say title is equal to about page. Save that. That makes it a lot easier to pass in variables into this view and use them without having to echo out any variables. Not that that's a difficult thing to do, but this is just another way to do it. So we'll test this out on the about page. And sure enough, it's loading that lowercase stuff that I just typed into that variable and then pass the variable into this function. So hopefully that's a pretty good explanation, or that'll get you started with the HTML helper. For more information and things like that, there's you can do break tags, you can do image tags, things like that. But check out the user guide on CodeIgniter.com. That'll take you to the next level with the HTML helper. And thanks for watching.